of the Syndicates presented by Sports Intel yet again. We're back on video. Eddie, Vic, and John all back this week off a 3-0 week. John, I think it was a good thing you weren't on the pod last week because we probably would have talked to you out of that Rams pick on Monday Night Football.
You guys were not talking me out of that pick. I would have talked you guys into that pick.
Probably.
Yeah.
That might have been more like it, but I don't know. I followed the advice that Vic gave you that was all about Jared Goff and how he has his struggles against the Bears, but not this time it looks like.
I said under, though. Under hit.
You did say it under. So, anyway, we're back off a winning week. Our dips are hitting like nobody's business.
You guys hit your dip?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to keep rolling them until we lose.
What'd you guys take?
Panthers was Vic's, and mine was the Steelers. Plus 7. Yeah, that one we could have parlayed probably and still got the same result. But, hey, they're 2-0-1 if you look at it that way. So we're undefeated with the dips. But anyway, this week's board, man, is a little bit tougher than I think last week's. I don't know about you guys, but we'll jump right into the games because we got some coming up this week. Thursday Night Football, Atlanta at Carolina. This one opened at 3. Now it's down to 2.5. Atlanta, no matter who the coach is, just keeps finding ways to blow the leads. And this game here, I don't really have a lean to it. So, Vic, I'll let you go first since you were spot on a lot of everything you talked about last week. So you're on the hot streak, so you keep it going here and give us your thoughts on Thursday Night Football.
All right. I was spot on everything but one game, the Patriots. I called that wrong. And, of course, John's boy tweets us. We go 3-0. We kill the board, and John's boy tweets us, goes, who gave out the Pats pick? But
forget that guy. That guy's a loser.
No, I love it, man. I'm just glad people actually check out our pod, right? So, but Thursday night, man, we have a good matchup. I think it's actually going to be a pretty good game. We got about 62% of the public is on the Panthers. The money's kind of split. The line's moving from 3 to 2.5 in most places. So right now it's Carolina minus 2.5. And I don't know. I'm sticking with Carolina, man. I've been riding them all year. I think we've all been high on them, and I like them again in this spot. Just auto fade Falcons as always. John can probably talk about Falcons Lions last week and just how amazing that comeback was. But again, I'm going with the Panthers, man. Their defense has been awesome. They've faced some really good quarterbacks, and they've limited all of those guys. And last week showed me a lot against a really good Saints team that they went toe for toe with them. They were down early. They came back, and CMC, Mike Davis, it doesn't matter who's there. They got a really good coach. Teddy B has been solid. The only little thing that worries me is usually I like taking the Panthers as a dog, and in this case, they're a favorite. So one to kind of pick your brains on it. John, I'll throw it to you because you saw the Falcons play live and in person with that amazing comeback. So what are you thinking about this game?
I couldn't even enjoy a Lions win because I was with a bunch of guys that had Atlanta. That was brutal, man. Luckily, I laid off of them last week. It was probably the last 2 weeks I haven't played the Atlanta Falcons. The first 4 weeks I did. I've lost every single time. And luckily, I laid off this week on them. And, of course, Gurley doesn't go down on the 1 yard line. So that was wild. But, look, this game here, like I said before, I've been on the Falcons pretty much the whole season, unfortunately. And last time they played Carolina, Teddy checkdown was exactly that. They were just hitting crossing patterns across the middle of the field the whole game. When Atlanta finally adjusted, I feel like at halftime, Carolina didn't do much in the second half. Now, Carolina can come out with a completely different game plan this week, but I kind of like the Falcons in this spot after such a letdown last week. I know. Fade the Falcons. I keep telling myself fade the Falcons. You guys keep telling me fade the Falcons, and I keep finding ways to take the Falcons in this game. What's the line at? What are we at? 2.5?
2.5.
Yeah, just that right there, makes me like that. Why isn't this 3? Is what I'm thinking. So I like Atlanta, of course, because it's the only game on tomorrow, right? I'm going to probably be playing it. So what I saw last time in the Carolina Atlanta game, the adjustments they made at halftime gives me confidence in Atlanta this time around. So I'm gonna go with the Falcons here, plus the 2.5.
All right.
Find the hook. Find the hook somewhere.
So I got to break the tie, huh?
You got it.
Big tie.
All right. So unfortunately, I think I agree with John.
Well,
Because we all know, as John always says, we're gonna end up betting these primetime Thursday night games. And I was on the Lions last week. It was one of the bigger plays that I had. And man, can we just talk about that 1 o'clock window for a second to the end?
that
How-
wooden hour was amazing.
Yeah,
No,
that
that's
was
not-
crazy. But no, John, your Lions, man. I was so happy when Gurley scored and they pulled it out. So
Did
thank you for
anyone
that.
think that they were not going to lose that game after he scored that touchdown? Like, you see his face, and I was like, I know the Falcons are going to blow this.
It happened the day before too in
It
the Indiana Penn State game. Like I haven't seen that. Like that happens I try to like have that happen in Madden where I'm down. I'm like, just let this guy score, man. Give me 1 minute left with the ball. And Indiana, Penn State just straight up. I mean, Indiana just let the Penn State running back walk into the end zone. And same thing happened with Gurley. Gurley done this 2 times before where he went down in the 5-yard line, and I guess his momentum just carried him in. So not to be much on that anymore, but yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, I do think yes, they did blow another lead, but I think we get a whole different effort from the Falcons so far since Dan Quinn has been gone. I think Raheem Morris I don't know if he's lit a fire under him, but they're playing a little bit better. And there's been all these talks about Julio and Matt Ryan getting traded, and all these players getting shipped out of town. So I think they got something to prove a little bit here. And being on Thursday Night Football, like John said, they made adjustments in the second half against Carolina in the first game, played them much better, did the same thing last week against the Lions. So I think, they kind of have a system that works against Carolina now. That I think they figured them out a little bit, but Carolina just opened up such a big lead in that first game that they're just going to make it back. So I do like the Falcons here, but it's not a strong play or a strong lean or anything. So I guess we're going to be 2-1 on the Falcons here, but we don't know how that has gone in years past on this podcast. So take it for what you may.
The biggest stat that I saw, this is why I like the Panthers. One, I love their coach, but two, the Panthers have faced Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Matt Ryan, Kyler Murray, and Drew Brees, and they're allowing the lowest passing yards per attempt in football. So, and the funniest part is they excluded Nick Foles from that, but because he had 190 yards, so they're like, oh, we don't count these fools. That's how bad the Bears' offense is. But I saw that, and that really impressed me because those are some of the best quarterbacks in the game, and for them to limit, those explosive offenses, I thought was pretty good, and I like their offense on the flip side. So I will say, watching that Saints game, and Eddie, I don't know if you saw it, but the Saints were able to run all over the Panthers. And that's another reason I like Atlanta. I mean, fading Atlanta in this spot is because if Atlanta had an amazing running game, I would probably lean Atlanta, but I think they're dependent on the pass, and that's the Panthers' strength defensively. So again, that's just kind of my mindset when going into that game.
Those are good notes. I like it. That actually just made me kind of hedge back a little bit on the Falcons, but we'll see. We still got another, 24, 36 hours or so till we get to game time. But next up, we'll go to Sunday. Indianapolis Colts on the road against the Lions. John, this is your squad here. You know them best. This +3 that we have here for the home underdog Detroit Lions looks pretty nice. So should we jump on it?
I don't think so. Listen, we just beat probably the 2 worst teams in the league, right? And our coach is all on his high horse now. He thinks he's the greatest coach that ever coached in the history of coaches because he beat the Jaguars and he beat the Falcons. Luckily, because the guy didn't go down on the 1-yard line. So I like the better coach in this matchup here. So the Colts are coming off of a bye, correct? Their defense is probably going to be a little bit better than what they have been. I keep asking about Leonard every week. I wasn't on last week, but is Leonard playing? Anyone know if Leonard's playing this week?
I know. It really does seem like anytime he's out, they lose. Like, yeah. We've been high on the Colts for a couple of years now, right? Yeah. And I feel like literally we always have the same conversation. And anytime he's out, they always end up not covering. So I have not seen anything new or updated on him. I'll keep looking. I'll let you kick it off, and then I will look up Leonard.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I'm probably not taking this game, but I mean, you were saying Lions, and And I lean Colts slightly, but I'm probably not playing this game because I'll probably be cheering for my guys here.
Yeah, this one here, I initially looked at it and I thought Lions. And then the more I just kind of, saw the way the line moved, ticked up to 3. The betting percentages look like they're kind of in favor of the Lions. I think we're getting a little recency bias on how the Lions have looked the past couple of weeks with the wins. And anytime, Matt Patricia is on his high horse, we all know he gets knocked off of it pretty quickly. So, John, I think what you made there is a good point. Where this is going to come down to coaching, I think, and Indy does have the better coach, I think, in my eyes. Probably the more talented roster overall. It's just, man, I could see Detroit keeping this close, which is why I'm scared to pull the trigger on it. So I don't know if I'm going to bet it yet, but if I did have to lean towards anything, it would be Indianapolis -3. So I guess that's where I would go in this spot here if I had to gun in my head. I may play this game, later in the week. I know last week I talked about, the Lions game, didn't really have too much of a feel for it. And then on Sunday, it was one of my biggest plays of the day. So this one here could be one of those situations where on Sunday or closer to game day, I might have a little bit more on it. But for right now, slight lean towards Indy in this spot. But Vic, what's up with Darius Leonard?
All right. So everything I'm reading from some Colts websites and beat guys, they're saying it's pointing towards him playing this week. The bye got him healthy. It looks like they got a bunch of guys coming back. So again, he goes. I feel like they go as he goes, and it's looking like he's in. So I lean the Colts. But what about that big move yesterday, John, by the line?
I liked the pickup of Everson Griffin. It's crazy that they only gave him a 6th-round pick. So who knows? I don't know. I like the move. It should pan out hopefully for us here, and we'll see what happens. It's crazy. Such a low round pick for a pretty good player.
You guys still there? Sorry, I cut off a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me.
No,
I don't know.
John.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I was just saying that it was a pretty good pick. So everyone else heard what I said. So.
Especially with only giving up a 6th-rounder. I was kind of hoping when I saw he was available that the Bills might go out there and make a play for him, especially with a 6rounder. Man, that's just it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping to do that.
Even if it doesn't work out, the pick would have had like a 90% bust rate. So
exactly. It's just everybody I talked to loved it. So when everybody, you know what I'm saying, like they knew something. What they gave that guy away for a 6rounder. I mean, I don't know.
True. But I feel like, they're rebuilding, right? They're kind of giving up on the year. And like Eddie said, it's worth a shot, man, because you guys are still in it, man. 3-3, 7 spots this year.
Should be 42.
Yeah, you should be. The thing is, I feel like it's still inside. I lean the Colts just because Darius Leonard's coming back. And when looking at the money splits, public's 50-50, but 80% of the money is on the Colts right now. So I lean Colts in this spot, but I don't really love it yet. I'm just going to make sure Leonard's in, so maybe something we can keep on tweet watch.
I don't know where we are at turnover-wise, how much turnovers we create on defense, but the only way we end up pulling out this game is if, we turn over Phillip Rivers, which is possible. Like anybody can turn over Phillip Rivers. We don't have to be top 5, in turnovers to get to Rivers. So, but I feel like that's the only way we're going to win this game is if we win the turnover battle. If we win the turnover battle, Lions should end up pulling it out. Other than that, if it's just going to be an even matchup, the better team is the Colts. They're better coached. They got the better players. So there's nothing more to that.
All right. So it looks like we're leaning towards the Colts for right now in that spot. But like Vic said, keep an eye out on our Twitters and maybe we'll have a little something closer to game day on who we like in that spot. But next up, we'll move to another NFC North couple of teams here. And we got Minnesota plus 7.5 is where it opened. It's down to plus 6.5. They are at Green Bay. Vic, you know what I'm eyeing in this spot here. It's our dip, man.
This is definitely a dip pick, and
I feel like we're probably going to be fighting over this one for who gets Green Bay. Tease that down to the pick.
Let's see what John thinks. But yeah, dude, the Packers have looked really good. Last week, again, a little bit of a tough spot for them, but they came out, the gates and just blew the Texans out of the water. And so Texans had so many opportunities in that game. I don't know if you guys watched that game on Red Zone, but I don't know. It's the same old Texans. Their D looked horrendous. Their O line looks bad, and they still had chances to cover or backdoor. But man, Green Bay looks good. They were decimated last week. They were missing their left tackle back to the area. They were missing Aaron Jones. I think they were missing their safety in their corner, and they still played well. So the only thing that scares me a little bit is, I mean, me and John have seen these NFC North games since we were a kid, man. It doesn't matter how good or how bad you are; these games are always kind of close, right? It's kind of like the NFC East games, and so 7 seems a little too much to me in this spot. But I kind of lean the Vikings if I got to take the spread, but this is definitely a dip pick with the Packers. You can tease them down to like probably pick them in some spots because I see 6 and 6.5 still out there.
John, what are your thoughts on this one?
Forget dips. I don't know what you guys are doing here to this podcast with these.
Just going undefeated and winning money for our folks. So that's about it.
Okay, so look, I mean, I see what you guys are saying. I don't see how Green Bay loses this game, so I can understand why this would be part of the dip. But just looking at the original line of 7, now down to 6.5, or do I got that the other way? I don't know. I'm not betting this game. It's a 1:00 game. There's other things that I'm looking at already that I'm gonna end up playing. If you made me pick this game because you don't got red zone, you got nothing else to watch, I'm gonna take the Vikings because it's just too many points. So they're coming off of a bye, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I like teams coming off of a bye. I always have. So Vikings, they got to get it right. This is their last chance, maybe. I don't know. So I don't know. I go Vikings, man. I go Vikings in the spot if you're going to play this game.
Yeah, I kind of lean there with you. And John, that kind of goes back to what you said, where they're coming off a bye. I like teams that are slumping going into a bye coming out, and teams that are hot going into a bye. I kind of fade them when they come out, just because you either lose the momentum or you have a chance to kind of restart and gain new momentum coming out of the bye. So I think that's why I like Green Bay or Minnesota in this spot here with all these points. But I don't see Green Bay losing this. So that's why I think, if when we get to our dips, and if we do, this might be one of the strong plays that Vic and I have for that part. And I know John will probably want to kill us after this for doing another one, but until we lose, we got to keep the streak alive. So this one probably will be a classic dip game here. One thing about Green Bay last week was, I know, Vic, you said Texans had so many chances to cover, but there's always one game that I try and find every week where I just know that the public is going to win that one.
Yeah.
And last week, that it just seemed like Green Bay was just primed to be that one. So, I hit my Miracle 16 parlay that I threw Green Bay in there with, and
Nice.
the Lions and a whole bunch of other teams in there. So that the Packers helped me to a good week last week, but it wasn't anything that was that strong.
The way to beat Rodgers, I mean, we all know this, and the best quarterbacks in general is pressuring them, right? We've seen it. That's the only time Brady struggles, up the middle pressure. Rodgers, and that's why we saw the Bucs do well against them, because they have one of the best D lines and defenses in the game, and they were able to rattle him a little bit. And Texans pass rush is non-existent, right? So when you have Rodgers sitting back there, he was literally playing like park catch with Devontae Adams all game long, right? So no, I'm glad you took that. So the only thing I will point out in this game, and why I lean Minnesota a little bit, is their strength is running the football. I think they're third best offensively in DVOA rushing, and Minnesota and Green Bay defending the run is like 23rd in the NFL. So if they can win that battle, I think they have a shot to cover. And you see this total is dropping too. It started at 55, and now I see it down to 53. So if they can, kind of control the game a little bit with their run game and just keep it close, they got a shot to cover the touchdown.
Yeah, the one thing that concerns me in this game is Minnesota's defense and stopping Aaron Rodgers, because I mean, over the past couple of years, Minnesota's defense has been like kind of their signature, whereas now it's pretty much their weak point. So, but if they can control the ball a little bit, keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline, I think that'll help them out a lot, with especially getting this many points and being a division game here. So, Next up in the 1 o'clock slate, this is going to be a tough one, I think, but it's the New England Patriots. They are plus 3.5 at the Bills. I think this is like the first time the Bills have ever been favored against them. And there was one time Jacoby Brissett's rookie year that they were favorites, but other than that, man, it's so nice not to have to deal with Tom Brady in my division for once in a lifetime. One thing I want to point out about this game is I don't know if you guys saw this stat that's kind of been circulating through Twitter about Cam Newton. In the last 2 games, he has only thrown 2 passes to the right-hand side of the field, or 4 passes, to the right-hand side of the field. Something really, really weird. All of his passes are just to the left-hand side of the field. I don't know if it's something like shoulder-wise. I get like when you're throwing, you kind of open up to the left-hand side, so maybe that's something where you have to turn your body to kind of throw to the right. But yeah, when I saw that stat, it was just something that was very weird to me. And he only completed 1 out of those 4 passes. So, yeah, something I think the Bills will obviously take note of and maybe kind of just sit Trey White on that side of the field or do something to shut that side of the field down that he's been going to nonstop. But he has looked bad over the past couple of games. One thing that concerns me is I think the Patriots are probably going to try and play bully ball in this game, run the ball. But the Bills defense has kind of been making a comeback over the past couple of weeks. I know against Kansas City, they gave up all those yards rushing, but that was honestly the game plan. It was just, have 3 or 4 guys up on the line and let Kansas City run the ball, and they did. But last week against the Jets, they only gave up like 180 yards total for the whole game. Granted, it is the Jets, but it's still the 3rd lowest scoring yardage performance of the season by any team. So they looked really good last week. I don't know if they're back, but they definitely played with a lot more energy. For me personally, I do lean the Bills. I would like it more at 3, but there's 3.5 out there. I don't know if I'm going to play it. So, John, what do you think about this one?
I got a question for you. Are you getting a little concerned about Josh Allen or what?
No, because last week they moved the ball really well, but they just couldn't score touchdowns. As soon as they got the red zone, stalled. So I'm not too concerned, but I was more concerned about the defense. But that last week kind of helped me out a little bit.
I think teams are starting to pick up a little bit on things that he's doing, that he's not doing well, and that is throwing short yardage passes. You know a little bit better than me, but his middle passing game has not been well. He's been running the ball well. He's been throwing the deep ball well, but that's why I feel like they didn't score last week in the red zone to a bad Jets defense. He couldn't get it in the end zone. So I feel like Belichick's going to have that. If anyone's going to have a good game plan for that, it's going to be Belichick. The problem is on the other side of the ball for New England, and I don't know what they were thinking after Tom Brady left. Like, what was their game plan at quarterback? Like, they didn't have Cam Newton until like a couple weeks before the season started. So, I mean, are the other guys that bad? Because Cam Newton looks really bad right now.
So, we saw the other 2 guys against Kansas City. They were really bad.
I mean, I just don't understand what Belichick's game plan was going into the season. With if those quarterbacks were that bad and Cam's playing the way he's playing right now, I can't take New England because of that. So I feel like Bill's got a trick up his sleeve this week. So I don't know. I think it's a cautious spot here for Buffalo. I'm not playing this game. I'm sitting it out because of that. I just can't trust whoever's going to play quarterback for New England for me to want to take them.
I wish there were fans at this game because I feel like they'd make a huge difference in the spot.
Yeah.
But, without fans here, Josh Allen has struggled against Bill Belichick's defenses throughout his first 2 years in the league. However, McDermott has always played New England really well on defense. So the first couple of years in the league, I don't think, even with Tom Brady, I don't think they've ever scored more than 30 points. And most of the time, I'd probably say the under at least hit 70% of the time so far in those games. So McDermott does have a good game plan against their offense, but
maybe an under spot here. Maybe an under spot. If Josh Allen turns into running quarterback the whole game, you know what I'm saying? Down in the red zone, I think that's going to help a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. What do you think?
Vic, what about you?
So we made money on some of those spots, right, Eddie? Because we took Buffalo as a dog in some of those Tom Brady matchups the last couple of years. But everything to me points to the Bills. The only thing that concerns me is the Bills have not looked good their last 3 games. And I know I watched that game because I had Buffalo and Survivor. That's where we missed you last week there too, John, because I would have liked your Survivor thoughts. But that was a little too close for comfort, man. They were moving the ball. Like you said, they were causing turnovers, but they were not converting, and that was against the Jets. But another spot, I like the Bills for two reasons here, Eddie. One, this is kind of like a game that they've been waiting for, right, for years. So this has got to be the game that they've circled on their calendar. You know how everyone gets up for one game this year, and if you're a crappy team, you know, for us the Bears, it was always like the Packers. Like we could be 3-13 that year, but if we beat the Packers, we'd be happy, right? And I feel like this is their circle game because like this is a chance for the Bills to say, hey, we are the best team in this division. So I like the Bills for that reason. And then second of all, New England's D, you could always count on that defense. So whether it's Cam or not, but last weekend it kind of showed that their D is not good. I don't know if you guys watched some of that game either, but yes, Cam was atrocious. But looking at their statistics for the year, I mean, they're in the bottom third of everything defensively. DVOA wise, they're ranked 25th overall. 23rd against the pass, 25th against the rush. And so we can always count on their defense, but I feel like this year you can't. And to your point, John, I think maybe his strategy is just to tank in a Belichick way that it's like not, they had the most guys out for COVID, right? That, he signed Cam on purpose and like maybe he knew something. Now he's trying them out there, throws 18 times. Like maybe they're just trying to load up for next year, but do it without getting in trouble in a hoodie type of way, right? So, but I'll lay the points here, man. I like the Bills. I see the best line that I can find is 3 right now, but I'll take it at 3.5 because that's kind of the consensus line right now.
Okay. Yeah, I do lean that way as well. And like you said, Vic, this is one of those games where it is circled. They would move to 4-0 in the division. One thing I also read this week was they're one of like the first, or I think one of the first teams in NFL history to start 5-2 but have a negative point differential, which is weird because they look so good in their first 4 games when they start out 4-0, but they let teams come back in the end, which kind of skewed that point differential a little bit. But yeah, the one thing that does concern me a little bit is San Fran moved the ball so well last week on New England running the ball, and Buffalo just has not been able to get their running game going this year. So hopefully they can find a way to do that, but I don't know. We will see. So I like a matchup next week for Buffalo a little bit more than I do this week for the Patriots. But yeah, this is kind of their Slay the Dragon game, I think. So I do like him in here, but we'll see.
There's 3 teams, Eddie, with negative point differentials and winning records. It's
this year?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it was. I couldn't remember if it was in NFL history or this year.
This year, right now, as of now, it's all 3 teams that start with B: Bills, Browns, and Bears.
I knew one of them was your team.
Yeah, but so they all 3 have them. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, right? Like, are they going to come back down to reality, or is it just something for us to watch? So kicking it, I'll let you kick it to the next game, but I will say I wanted to ask you one more question. Do you like the under? Because John kind of pointed that out.
Yes, I do. I was going to actually say that as well. So I do kind of like the under in this spot here. I'm not a big over-under guy, but this is one where I would lean towards the under in this spot. Just because I said Josh Allen struggles against Bill Belichick's defenses, and McDermott plays the Patriots well on defense. So I would definitely lean the under here. But yeah, we'll kick it to the next game. Actually, I don't know if we're even going to touch this one, but it's Tennessee at Cincinnati. I don't really have anything in this one here. Tennessee is -6 on the road at the Bengals. Gun to my head, I'd pick the Bengals. Vic, anything you got in this one?
I liked Tennessee right when it opened at 4. I played a small bet on them on Sunday just because I feel like it's a good get-right spot for them off of a tough loss. And now they're facing a Bengals team that their O-line and D-line is, injured, just is not good. And so I feel like they'll have a very big advantage on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So I took them at 4. 6 is a different ball game, right? Like I feel like Joe Burrow has been really good. Like I feel watching him and Justin Herbert, they're both really good quarterbacks. They don't give up. They sling the rock, and backdoor Burrow can hit you at any time because they don't give up. I mean, even last week, they gave up like 500 yards, but they kept going until the end, right? Like he was able to mark them down and score a touchdown. So I don't like the 6. I took him in real life at 4, but at 6, I would probably wait. I would watch this game live, or this might be my dip pick, Eddie. We'll see. But I'll throw it to John. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I'm not touching this game. I wish I would have got it earlier. The line opened 3.5. I don't know where I was at, but it's all the way up to 6. But yeah, I'm not going against Backdoor Joe either. So he's you know what I'm saying? So if they're up, 10 points at the end of the game, I'd rather have Cincinnati at their own 10-yard line than Tennessee.
Exactly.
So I'm staying away. I like what Tennessee did last week. I wasn't on the pod with you guys last week. That was another one of my picks. I was probably not with a lot of people, but I liked Tennessee a lot last week, and they couldn't pull it out there at the end because they started so slow. So I'm gonna slide on this game. I'm not gonna mess with it.
I had a buddy last week that had the Bengals plus 3.5, and he had a pretty big bet on them. And I don't know if you guys saw how that ended.
Oh yeah,
but that missed extra point, man,
Cody Parkey
came through for him in the end.
I have never taken a game. If there's a game that's 3.5 and I like the favorite, I'm gonna find a way to buy it. I'm buying the hook. I know that's not. I know people don't. I don't. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to. But I typically don't play games like that. Minus 3.5. I'm letting that one go, even if I like it. And if I like it that much, I'm buying the hook. I have never ever lost a game on 3.5. I've never lost a game like that before because I just wouldn't let it happen. I would never take the 3. I would never lay 3.5. I'm buying the hook, or I'm not taking the game.
I agree. I'm the same way with you. I know you're not supposed to do it, but yeah, it's something I do as well. But next up, we got the Vegas Raiders. They are plus 3, plus 2.5 in some spots against the Browns. A lot of money coming in on the Raiders. When I looked at this, I kind of like the Browns in this spot here. However, I do have a buddy who's a Raiders fan. He's usually pretty spot on with their games. Last week, he told me to take the Bucks. I took the Bucks. Told me to take the Bills. I took the Bills. He's usually pretty good with these games, and he told me, he's like, Sunday night, like while the Raiders game was going, he's like, bet them next week against the Browns. So initially I looked at this line. I wanted to take the Browns, but when I have somebody who knows the Raiders so well, so confident that they're going to be the one to pick in this spot here, it's really tough for me to kind of go against it. But I'm torn. If looking at it, it would probably be like an 85-15 lean towards the Browns in the spot here, but now I'm pulling back a little bit. It's more like 65-35, me leaning towards the Browns here. So that's where I would lean. But John, what are you thinking in this one?
I don't have a play one way or another on the teams, the Raiders or Browns, but I'm going to give you guys one of my sucker overs. Where's the stops going to come in this game? Cleveland's secondary is horrible. What Gruden's passing game does is decent. The only thing that might stop the over in this game is if the Browns run the ball, because that's what the Raiders can't do, is stop the run. So if the Browns continue to run the ball, I can see them maybe winning this game. But if Raiders get off to a good start, they get up 7-0, they get up 14-0. Browns are not going to stick to that game plan, and you can throw on the Raiders too. So it's sucker. I don't play over unders, and now I'm giving them out all the time. So I like the over in this spot here. It's a sucker over, but I don't know. That's what I like in this game. What are you thinking, Vic?
To your point, to the over, these two defenses are bottom 5 in pretty much every statistical category. So, like you said, I don't know where the stops are going to come. I feel like this is one of those games is going to be similar to the Bengals and Browns. Like whoever gets the rock last is going to win this game and cover. So it's a little too close for my comfort. The one thing that scares me, speaking of 65-35, how you're feeling, Eddie, that's the public right now. And 65% is on the Raiders, surprisingly, because I thought they would be on the Browns after last week. But maybe they were disappointed with how they played against the Bengals. They didn't cover. They're mad at Cody Parkey. But the public seems to be on the Raiders in this spot pretty big. But the money is also on the Raiders. Some sharp guys I know, and just kind of reading around some circle stuff, industry stuff online, they took the Raiders right out of the gate at 3.5. So you got 80% of the money on the Raiders as well. So this line is now 2.5. So it'll be interesting. I'll probably wait closer to game time to see what happens. But I really think this is going to come down to the last drive, last points, last score kind of thing. In those kind of games where I don't find an edge, I just usually sit them out.
Yeah, I bet you if I start to see this line trickle down a little bit, I might have to jump on the Raiders. But man, right now it's hard to pass up on the Browns just because I like the spot for them. If those books you're looking at there with the percentages, are most of them offshore or are most of them in Vegas?
So I use Sports Insights, and it's a little bit of all of those, right? There's some local ones, there's some offshore ones like Pinnacle and Five Dimes, and so it'll kind of list them all, and so it aggregates a lot of these websites.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe now there used to be like a San Fran bias over there, but now it could be a Vegas bias because
True.
Being in Vegas might jack up the money a little bit. But yeah, I mean this is a game that I think a little closer to game day we'll have a little bit more clarity on it and how we want to fire on this one. But definitely something I could see myself playing this weekend. I'll say that. Next up, we'll go to college. I mean, the New York Jets and the college-like spread that we have in the NFL this weekend. Chiefs are minus 19.5. This line opened at 21. Now it's been bet down. The two worst teams against the spread this year are the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. Jets have only covered once, which was last week against the Bills. I'm not going to play this one, so I'm going to skip it. John, Vic, or John, you got anything in this one?
You got to play the Jets or don't play this game. That's all I can tell you guys. So I'm not playing it. If you want to play it, take the Jets. It's not a bad survivor pick, but I keep this in mind. If you haven't used the Chiefs yet, look at next week's board. This is where I'm still in survivor, luckily. So I'm trying to pan out my way to get to week 17, and I don't know if I should start doing that yet, but I am, and I got to find a different game this week because I feel like next week's a little bit more difficult. I'd like to use the Chiefs against the Panthers next week instead of this week. So if you just want to play it safe and smart and worry about next week, you got to take the Chiefs in this survivor pick, but not at the 19.5 points. So I would not do that. So
Vic, anything you got in this one?
It's funny you said that, John, because I was thinking about all the same stuff because I'm still alive in mine. And I was like, do I take the Chiefs and just move on, live for another day, or do I try to find some value and go, somewhere else? But I think it's like John said, you got to either take the Jets or you just pass on this game. Here's a fun little stat. 16 teams in the NFL have been favored by at least 19.5 points. They're 16-0 straight up, but just 3-13 against the spread. Wow. So again, these are the Chiefs and these are the Jets. I know it's hard, but the Jets kind of hung around with the Bills last week, right? Of course, a lot of weird things had to happen. Bills had to miss field goals. They didn't convert. But I don't know, man. It's just hard taking the dog in this spot. But I'll take the Jets, man. I'll take a little bit of a sprinkle on the Jets, not like a pick of the week or anything. But I feel like you have to take them a little bit. I still see some 20s out there. So I'm going to grab 20 for like a unit.
All right. So next up, we got another 1 o'clock game. And this one, Vic, you mentioned some picks of the week. I think this one we might be some of us might be considering as a pick of the week. We got the Miami Dolphins home +4 against the Rams in this spot here. I got to lean the Dolphins, but I'll let you guys go first on this one, get your thoughts. So, Vic, you can kick it off on this game here.
Yeah, I lean the Dolphins in the spot. The only thing that concerns me is I have on some very good information. I can't tell by who and from who or what or anything like that, that the playbook is going to be very, very simplified. Like I'm talking about a handful of plays this week for Tua. And so against a coach like McVay, that scares me a little bit. Otherwise, everything points to the Dolphins in this spot. Like they're a well-coached team. They play well at home. One of our listeners who always kind of tweets us Miami stuff. I don't know if you had a chance to check that out, Eddie or John, but one of our listeners, H.E. Pennypacker, always sending us Miami weather reports. he said this week's going to be about 85 to 90 degrees and rainy. And so usually when that happens, it favors them, right? We've seen it time and time again in the past, but this is the Rams. They might be kind of used to hot weather too, right? So, but I like the Finns in this spot. The public's going to be on the Rams after what they did to the Bears, but I don't know. On the flip side of that, like the Rams really showed me something. They got their butts handed to them by the Niners. Aaron Donald called them soft, and they definitely dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides against the Bears, and they came out pretty feisty. And then so you got McVay against a rookie QB. You got them kind of their D line and looked dominant, man. And so that's going to be kind of the X factor in this spot. But I'll throw it to you, John. Do you have a strong pick, or Eddie? You mentioned pick of the week, so I'll let you guys kind of influence me in this game.
Yeah, listen. Rams just came off of a win. The Rams-Bears game last week just favored the way the Rams play over the Bears. They didn't. The Bears, the Bears need to like out scheme you, and Rams just sat there and played base defense and just outplayed them because of the players they had on the field. So. The Rams defense this week, I feel like, is going to get punched in the mouth immediately. They didn't just take Fitz out for no reason. Something's going on. Like Tua's coming in off of the bye. They're 3-3. Fitz has been good. So they got to trick up their sleeves. I like this the way the team is coached. I feel like the Dolphins are going to come out and just smack Rams immediately in this game. If Rams come out flat, I could see the Dolphins getting up and then just holding the lead the rest of the game. You're worrying me about your little insider tip here that the Dolphins game is going to be simplified. So, I mean, I'd like to see them come out and run plays that nobody's ever seen before. But, I mean, look, I like Miami in this spot. I'm playing Miami. I feel like Miami's going to come out strong, coming off of a bye against a team that just lost on Monday night, that just won on Monday night, that everybody's going to be on. Rams are going to come out flat, and then they might not have any energy to even come back in the second half. So Dolphins here, I like them a lot. Hopefully they do come out strong to win this game. What are you thinking, Vic? Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I love the Dolphins in this spot here, mostly for a lot of the same reasons that we play the Dolphins in the past with like the weather. Our teams, obviously LA is pretty warm, but they play in an air-conditioned dome stadium, whatever you call it. But coming all the way from West Coast to East Coast, that's a long trip. Rams are on their bye next week, so they could be kind of looking ahead to that. Also, when they come out of the bye, they got to play Seattle right out of it. So that's one of those things you could look at. Maybe they come off a Monday night game, got to go all the way to the East Coast and be like, yeah, all right, let's get this done and over with and go on our bye. I think Miami's going to play him pretty tough. The one thing that scares me is you just got a lot of unknown with Tua. If this was Fitz, I'd really be all over this. But the one thing is Tua, you don't know what you're gonna see out of him. It could be really good, could be really bad. But I think that's why also the Dolphins are starting him, because they need to know what they got in this guy. So I think the Dolphins personally are pretty good. They are more of a threat to the Bills in the division than the Patriots, in my opinion. But we just don't know how Tua is going to be. So I am going to definitely be on the Dolphins in this spot here, plus the 4. Whether we make it pick of the week, we'll see. We still got a couple more games to go through, so that might sway a few things, but this is definitely one that's up there in consideration for me. So one thing to look at there is a possible pick of the week. But next up, I don't know how this is a 1 o'clock game, this next one, because I think it's probably the game of the week, but Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Undefeated Pittsburgh, plus 3.5. I've been riding them for weeks now, the Steelers. I think I might be finally jumping off the train here, but I'll let you guys go first on it. They are plus 3.5 at Baltimore. Ravens haven't looked good. Haven't been able to really get the ground game going too much. Lamar Jackson hasn't been passing the ball too well. So I don't know. This is one thing that's giving me a little bit of hesitancy on this game here. But John, I'll let you go first on this one here and give us your thoughts on this game.
Keep this in mind. I said this last year. Every time I bet this game, I'm always on. I typically fall on the wrong side. This game is always -3 or +3 either way, right?
Yep.
So I always fall on the wrong side of this game. I don't know why. I always end up taking the wrong team. It's typically a Sunday night game. I wish this was the Sunday night game this week. I don't know why it's not, or why it hasn't been flexed into Sunday night. But I like Ravens in this spot. I like what they're going to be able to do offensively. I know they're kind of a bully team, and they can beat up on the bad teams. And when they play the good teams, sometimes they're not that good. But I mean, they see Pittsburgh a lot, so they know how to play them. I like Baltimore because I saw the way Pittsburgh won last week against Tennessee, and they kind of just attacked a weak secondary. That's not what Baltimore is. They are not weak. They don't have a weak secondary. So if Baltimore is going to get Big Ben to make mistakes, and coming off of a bye, another team coming off of a bye, right in Baltimore, Jackson's should be fresh. He didn't look good the last couple games here, so I like Baltimore, man. But just keep it in mind, I'm never right in this game, so I cap this game wrong all the time. But I like Baltimore. I like Baltimore because I feel like the secondary should be able to stop the Pittsburgh wide receivers.
Vic, are there any threes out there?
Let's take a look. I'll break down the percentages real quick because this is definitely the game of the week.
Oh, it's 3.5. I just said how I never take 3.5.
It's 3.5 mostly, Eddie. And you got the public's on the Steelers, right? They think it's too many points. You got about 65% of the public on the Steelers. Early money came in on Pittsburgh, right? Like, so to John's point, I don't have the exact stat, but pretty much the last maybe 10 or 12 times these two have played, it's always like 3 or 4 point game, right? But I'll give you a couple of fun stats. Pittsburgh's 1-3-1 ATS, 2-3 straight up in their last 5 games against Baltimore. Baltimore's 2-0 ATS in the AFC North games this season, and both of those lean me towards Baltimore. I think another reason I like Baltimore is what you said last week, John, when it came to the Bears-Rams game. Like, there's certain games where you're just like, man, this line is kind of fishy, right? Like, how did the Ravens open up at 6? How are the Ravens still 3.5 point favorites when everyone's on Pittsburgh? These games always end at 3, right? And so that leans me towards Baltimore. Like, I think it's an overreaction to last week's Steeler win. There's a lot of value in this line for the Ravens, right? Like, if this was not Ravens Steelers and we're looking at Team A and Team B, we love overreaction games, right? We love recency bias games. If we had a chance to take a team that was -6 and now we're going to get them at -3, 3.5, usually we would jump on that, right? So I like Baltimore in this spot, man. I think this is a really, really big game for them. Pittsburgh's been playing at a high level. They're riding high, but I think I see Baltimore kind of neutralizing Pittsburgh defense in this spot. Lamar having a big game and the Ravens covering, man. I think they win by a touchdown. To me, this is going to be a lot similar to the Bears-Rams game. A lot of people are going to be like, there's no way the Steelers are going to get blown out in this spot, but I think the Ravens put it on them by 6 or more.
I'm right there with you, man. So I think we're 3 for 3 on this one. But the Ravens are my pick here. I was also considering this one as a pick of the week, but that hook, man, like John said, it's just one of those games where it gets you. But I do think the Ravens win this game here. Pittsburgh, I think we finally squeezed all the value we can out of them just because they were coming into the season. They were considered a good team, but maybe like a fringe playoff team instead of like a top contender in the AFC. Now that I think people see that they're undefeated, are they the last undefeated team in the league?
Yeah.
Seattle lost. Yeah. So they're not going to go undefeated in this where I think they get their first loss. So anytime you see an undefeated team as a dog, the only undefeated team in the league, that kind of says something here. It's one of those things like Vic mentioned where the line is just fishy, and I think the Ravens are definitely the play here. So I'm going to try and hope and hold out for a 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see this line go the other way, maybe jump up to 4. Also, the Ravens, they just traded for Yannick Ngakoue, I think. So is he playing this week, do we know, or is he got to go through all COVID protocols and stuff?
That's what I've been reading that. Like, he still needs to get cleared officially. I think we're recording this a little early. We'll find out a lot of injury stuff later today, and then about him, I feel like, because that would be a huge boost to their squad.
Definitely. So all of us can lean on the same way. We're going to be on the Ravens in this spot here, and I think wouldn't be surprised if 3 of us picks it as a pick of the week. So Ravens are the play in this spot here. Next up, we'll go to a 405 special, and last week my 405 special turned into the Sunday Night Football game of the week. So
Yeah.
who knows if this is even going to be a 405 special or if it could be played on Tuesday. But I mean, last week was the Cardinals and the Seahawks. They're supposed to be played at 405. This week we got the Chargers -3 on the road at the Broncos. I was always high on the Broncos coming into this year. They've had a lot of injuries, especially at quarterback, defense, everywhere, all over the place that have just kind of impacted that. I think I would probably lean towards the Broncos in this spot here. A lot of people, see the high-powered offense that Justin Herbert has created down there in LA for the Chargers. I don't think Drew Lock is as bad as, the public perception is. I think he's a decent quarterback. I don't think he'll be like a star quarterback in this league, but he can definitely kind of be on that like Case Keenum level, possibly maybe a little bit better. So yeah, I'll take the Broncos here, especially if I'm getting 3 points. I see the line has jumped up a little bit, but I think that's a little bit of an overreaction from last week's win to the Jags. I mean, it's the Jags, and they barely squeaked it out. So give me the Broncos and the points here. I know that they look bad here. It's kind of a buy low, sell high thing. Chargers are at their high point. Broncos are at their low point. I'll take the team at their low point so we can kind of even that out. Give me the 3 points in this spot here. Vic, what about you? Anything you like in this one?
I like the Broncos, man. This is a 405 special. I'm waiting to see what John thinks. But all the reasons you kind of pointed out, recency bias, and I love the Chargers as dogs. I don't like them as favorites, and we kind of saw that a little bit last week too, where they got out to an early lead and almost blew it, just because of their coach. And we've talked about him a lot of times on this pod, and I just don't think that they're good. A favorite and a road favorite, a short road favorite, and the public's all over them. You got 70% of the public on the Chargers, so I'll take the Broncos. They've been competitive. I mean, last week they ran into arguably the best team in football, right? But Drew Lock's been pretty solid. They're injury riddled, but Vic Fangio teams don't normally get blown out, and he usually plays bad teams really well. And I wouldn't say the Chargers are a bad team, but I don't think they're in, the top half of the league yet. They're going to get there because I really like their quarterback. But this is just, in my opinion, I'm taking the better coach. I'm taking the points at home in a game that I think can go either way. So I'm on the Broncos.
Yeah,
John, 405 special.
Yeah, heck yeah. Listen, we just went through 3 games in a row, and we just agreed on all 3 games. So this is another game here. This is a 405 wheelhouse. I mean, it's right in my wheelhouse. This game's going to come along. You're going to look at it. Oh, I'm taking, Herbert. Herbert just threw for 1,000 yards against the Jaguars. So and you guys hit all the real points here in this game. So the Broncos defense is going to be able to keep them in this game against the Chargers. They weren't as bad as that score was last week. There was a lot of turnovers, pick sixes, punt returns, stuff like that made Kansas City, blow out Denver. So I can see Denver's going to win this game, I feel like. So I'm on the Broncos. It's 405. Everyone's on the Chargers. We're going to roll with the Broncos here, and they're just going to win the game outright.
I love it. We're heating up, man. I have a good feeling about these late games that we're running into. We're all kind of starting to agree on it, getting a good feel for the board. It's like we're up in a tree just picking games and picking winners, man. I love it from above. Next up, Saints at the Bears. Vic, this is your squad. You know them the best. Line open -2. It's up to -4 now for the New Orleans Saints on the road. Man, it is so hard to trust these Bears quarterbacks. I will just say that. It is painful to watch at times because there were so many wide open passes that Nick Foles just sailed over a receiver's head. But Vic, I know you're probably just as frustrated as any of us. I was an idiot and didn't listen to John and bet the Bears on Monday Night Football. So, John, I apologize for that. I'm just going to do another dip this week and probably lose that now. Yeah. So, Vic, this is your squad. We'll let you go first on this one.
If you're frustrated watching that, Eddie, just for one game, imagine that watching that your whole life, bro.
I'm a Bills fan. Trust me, it's been there for a couple of years.
I know, but it's not the same script, is it for you guys? I mean, listen, like our defense has always been good. Our offense has always been putrid. Like they're ranked bottom 3, I think, in every statistical category offensively. Like, and that's the story every single year. Imagine that. Like, and it's always on national television where they bomb out, right? So then your friends that are haters always get on you and they show a mid stat here or there, or they'll show him on the sideline, and for fun they'll post Mahomes picture just smiling, and imagine that every day for your entire life, bro. Like, it was just bad. But I don't think the Bears are as bad as that game was. Like John said, it was just a bad matchup for them. Their O-line is putrid, and that's what concerns me the most. Matt Nagy's a bad play caller. The proof is in the pudding. It's not like this has just been this season. It's been like over the span of 2.5 years now that we've kind of seen that. It doesn't look like he's relinquishing play calling duties. So, but the offensive line is the most concerning thing to me more than anything. Every time Montgomery touches the ball, the D line's already hitting him. Nick Foles does not. He's a pretty immobile quarterback, right? I think that's kind of an argument in Chicago right now. It's like, if the O-line's that bad, why don't you just let Mitch play? At least he can run around a little bit. He's mobile. So a guy like Nick Foles needs a clean pocket to be able to run the offense like he wants to run it. And that's the biggest thing that concerns me. And I don't know if you guys actually stuck through that whole game, but the Bears' second best offensive lineman got hurt a couple weeks ago in James Daniels, and their best offensive lineman got hurt towards the end of this Rams game in Cody Whitehair, and he's the center. And so you got another kid off the street. First play, you could see this kid on skates, and Foles got rocked. So, and he's the center. So again, I just don't see against good teams how they're going to be able to scheme better if Nagy does not change the way he play calls and they have this offensive line. Things are not, how are they going to get better? I do think the defense is a lot better than they showed in that game, and they will get up for this game. And so if they're going to win, it's going to be on the defense. But I will say there's a little bit of a fishy line, right? Everyone's on the Saints. You come out and this line opens at 3, maybe 2.5, and now it's up to 4. Every single person I know is on the Saints. I have not met one person that's like, hey, I'm on the Bears for this game. So those are kind of the things I see it. I think the defense is going to come to play in this game. It's a little bit of a fishy line, but the O-line concerns me. And then Allen Robinson, concussion protocol. So I don't know if he's going to play, and I don't know if Cody Whitehair are going to play. Those are the two best players on offense. So I'll pick your brain. John, I'll throw it to you because you watch the NFC North, and let me know what you're thinking.
This game here is one of those games where the public, I feel like, is going to be coming in on one side, and the sharps are going to be coming in on one side. So, but it's a game where I feel like the public, they get some of these wins at 4:00. They don't just give every sharp pick. Not every sharp pick always wins. If every sharp pick wins, nobody has to do nothing. Just say, oh, the sharp pick, is this, and take it. So I feel like the Saints is a public pick, but I feel like it's one of those games where the public is gonna maybe get right. I don't. Can you refresh my memory? I know these two teams played last year. Some funny things happened at the start of the game. It was the same thing. It was a 4:00 game. Bears Saints. Vic, give me a quick recap. What happened in that game last year?
The quick recap was the Saints were dominating that game.
Bridgewater.
They were up 26 or 27 to 10. They pretty much dominated that game, and then Mitch came back a little bit, had a couple of late touchdowns.
So Bears were favored then, right?
Yeah. They were favored, and they weren't favored. I think again it was another short line. Yeah. The Saints came out. They dominated the game. The Bears had a usual fourth quarter flurry. They had a couple of chances, and then Mitch threw a late pick. I remember that game vividly because I feel like we still could have won that game.
I was on the wrong side of that game. I just needed that. Now I remember Bridgewater, and I feel like that's why I took the Bears was because of Bridgewater. Yeah. So because Bridgewater was in, so I'm taking.
And I think Kamara was out. The Bears got a little lucky where he was a late scratch, and so you were Bridgewater on the road without Kamara. Bears needed this win to kind of get right, and out the gates, Saints kind of blew them out of the water.
I remember that game because I picked up Latavius Murray in fantasy that week, and he dropped 40 points. Yep. So
okay,
yeah, it was a big running game for Latavius Murray that day. I remember that. Michael Thomas, I think, had a big day too, but he won't be playing.
I'm gonna have the Broncos already, so I don't need to pick every game at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to be on the Broncos, and I feel like everyone's going to be on the Saints, and I kind of like the Saints, so I'll just kind of ease back and not play this game.
Yep, I'm not playing it either.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm not going to be betting this one just because there's 2 games I already like at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to skip right to the next one and go to the 4:25 game I absolutely love. San Francisco +3 at the fraudulent Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to keep calling them frauds all year because that's what they are. Their defense is atrocious. They finally got exposed last week, although, God, my emotions in that game just were like
that was crazy,
all over the place. That was one of the craziest games ever. But especially when DK Metcalf scored that touchdown that got called back. Whew, man,
that game was wild.
I love the 49ers in this spot here. Dude, Seattle, man, I know that their record says they're 5-1, but they could easily be 3-3. Cam Newton scores a touchdown 1 yard out, 3-3. If the Vikings gain a yard on 4th down, 3-3. It's like they're this close, and every time the coin flip games go their way, except for last week. Finally,
if Miami doesn't kick field goals or give up a touchdown before the half,
yeah, their defense is historically bad. It's given up more yards than the Cowboys this year. Their defense is so bad. They generate no pass rush, can't stop the run. I know San Francisco is banged up, but I'm going to be all over the 49ers in this spot here. I absolutely love them +3. Public is all over the Seahawks as well. But, John, I'll let you go first on this one. Who you like in this spot?
Yeah, so look, last year, the whole time, I would bet against Seattle, and I kept losing. And you know what? In the end, I said, well, I'm going to get these guys. When I get them, I'm going to get them good. And I ended up getting them against Green Bay in the playoffs. And that was I just unloaded on that game. I made up for all my wrongs I did during the regular season. So same thing happened to me. Look, I wasn't on the pod with you guys last week, and I never take Seattle. I was this close to taking Seattle. And I don't know, I think I tweeted you guys right before. I'm like, hey, what were the picks last week? And you guys said Cardinals. I said, unlike you, Eddie, I'm not going against my guys. Eddie said Cardinals. I'm going to take Cardinals too. So I rolled with you guys last week because you said I was this close to taking Seattle for the first time all year, and I didn't do it. So that was a wild game. That was crazy. So I'm glad I was on the Cardinals last week. I will stick with not playing Seattle games. Listen, I don't like this game that much. It's 49ers are nothing to me. But again, like I said, I already got a game I like at 4 o'clock. I'm probably going to just stick with that one. I might have a small bit on the 49ers because this is probably the game that might be on TV.
Vic, what about you?
Yeah, I like the Niners in this spot a lot, man. This is going to be a Joes versus pros kind of game come kickoff, and you're already kind of seeing it. You got the public on Seattle, but you got the money on San Fran. I saw this line open at 4.5, even 5 in some spots, and it's down to 3. So reverse line movement, some sharp money coming in on the Niners. Niners trending the right way. Seattle's defense, it's just bad, man. And I feel like the Cards didn't even expose them as much as they could. I don't know what they were doing half the time last week. But every time they passed, they were able to move the ball down the field, right? And we're going to see Shanahan do a good job of just game planning. And again, I have PTSD against Russell Wilson like you do, John. So every time, but I rode with Eddie's pick last week, and it came through, man. But I'm always scared to bet against him because I feel like, again, he always converts those like 4th and 7s in the fourth quarter that go against us. Man, he throws a beautiful ball, right? Like he hits these guys in stride. The back basket where these receivers, they can't even mess up. Like if that's the Bears, bro, it's always over their head. They got to go here. The ball bounces off their helmet. It goes to the squad, and so like he's just so good. But looking at this game and this matchup, and San Fran always plays them well. I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago when we called San Fran's rise that year, we made a lot of money taking San Fran even the year before because we saw how hard they played against Seattle and how well they played against them. They were in the game no matter what. And that was when they weren't a good football team. So I think they're a live dog in this spot, and I think they have a chance to win this game straight up. So I like the 3 points.
Perfect. Love it. We're going to be all over San Fran. Again, this board, it's heating up towards the end. So Jerome Boger game is the Sunday Night Football game. However, there's no line because we don't know what Andy Dalton's doing. Probably not going to play, but yeah, it's nothing here. So we'll go right to Monday Night Football. This is another game I like too, man. Tampa Bay, they are on the road minus 10.5 against the Giants. I know this is awful to say, but I kind of like the Giants in this spot plus the 10.5. So, John, I'll let you go first again on this one and give us your thoughts if you're going to be playing this one because you're always playing the primetime games. Don't lie. So we take it.
You know how I said I wasn't taking Chiefs for my survivor pick? I'm kind of looking at Tampa for my survivor pick. So I might sit this one out and just cheer for a Tampa victory here. I still have them. The way I mapped out my schedule for the rest of the weeks is Tampa this week. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. 10.5 is way too many points. If you want to get some money down on this game, I don't know how you can I don't know how you can take the Giants, but I don't know how you can lay 10.5 with the Bucks either. So I think I'm going to make this my survivor pick of the week. What about you?
Right. Vic?
This is I'm with you, John. I think I'll go survivor, and this is going to be my dip pick of the week, Eddie. I'm going with the Bucks. I just don't see it. I know the public's on
3.
I know the public's on the Bucks big, man, but they're the best team in football. Like DVOA number 1, top 5 offense, top 5 defense. The Giants, the only time I'm going to play them is in like division games, in my opinion. That's where there's some value in them, but I just don't see it, man. There are some teams that I feel like can beat the Bucks or kind of slow them down a little bit, but this just isn't one of them, man. And so I like the Bucks in this spot. I would lay the 10. I know it's crazy on the road, but again, everything that I look at mismatch wise points towards the Bucks in this spot. I know Vegas is going to need them. This is one of those public games, Eddie, where you pick every week that I think the public actually wins on, but we'll see. Is AB coming back, Eddie? Do you know?
Like week 9, I think.
Not this week. Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Godwin's hurt, right?
Godwin is out. I am going to be on the Giants in this spot here, and I'll tell you why. When we took the Bears against the Bucks, it was because they had Green Bay on deck. Yep. And this spot here, they got to go to New York, play the Giants, go in, get out, stay healthy. I think that's going to be a big goal of theirs is to get healthy this week, almost kind of treat it as a bye. I think it's going to be a little bit of an overlook situation. They've covered their last 2 games in easy fashion, so I think the public perception is at an all-time high. The line is at an all-time inflation, and they got the Saints on deck. You know that they are looking ahead to that game for revenge from what happened earlier in the year where they lost. So I think we're just getting a classic look-ahead spot here, and that's why I'm going to be on the Giants because we're getting so many points in this spot here. But, yeah, 10.5, just way too many points to me. Buy low, sell high. You know, that's always my thing. So I'm going to be on the Giants in the spot here. Are you still going to keep it as your dip?
Fine. You scared me a little bit. Let me think until you're about to run through the picks of the week, right?
Yeah.
So give me a sec. I might change it.
All right. So we'll let John, you pick your game first. Who you going with for your pick of the week?
All right. So look, I hit my last 4, man. I'm on fire on my picks of the week. So
you know what that means? You got to bust out the shiny belt.
Yeah, let's see it.
Aha, there it is. Make
the big gold belt, baby. The big gold belt. Listen, I'm going my 405 special. We got the Broncos, the Chargers, the Broncos +3. They're gonna win the game outright. I'm keeping the 3 points for the pod's purposes, but I'm gonna be all over the Broncos here.
Love it. I love that game. All right, Vic, I'll let you pick your game next as well because I have 2 that I could go with in either spot here.
Okay, because I think I might be taking your pick of the week.
You probably are, but it's fine.
Okay,
I like another game too.
San Fran?
Yeah, it was going to be number 1, but I'll take number 2. I like 1A, 1B.
What's your 1B?
Miami.
Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I like both of those games. That's my 1A, 1B. And so our listeners are, they're going to go 3-0 again, I feel like this week, man, because both of those teams are going to roll. I'll go. It's your 1A. You go. It's your 1A. I'll let you shoot.
No. You can have that one. I already kind of touched on everything. I went against Seattle this week, so someone else can go against Seattle this week.
Okay, cool. I'll take San Fran. I think they're in a really. I really think that they can win this game, and so I'll grab the points. It's +3, and I'm going to sprinkle a little on the money line.
All right, I'm going to go with the Ravens minus the 3.5. There's a 3 out there somehow. Take it. Definitely be on that. But for official pod purposes, I'll do 3.5 for this spot here, and then I'll take the first chunk at the teaser, and I'll take Green Bay down to a half a point.
Okay. I'm going to take the Titans.
All right, so we're bringing them both down to the pick.
I have them in real life at 4, and I think that they win this game. There's too many mismatches for me, and so I'll take them. Literally, it's going to be a pick.
Love it. All right. Tell us a little bit more about Sports Intel, where we can find everything over at their website before we jump off, because they are gracious enough to sponsor our pod. So let's hear a little bit more about them.
Yeah, make sure you guys check out sportsintel.com. I mean, honestly, we're doing some really cool stuff there, man. Fantasy stuff, DFS, gambling, just breaking news, sports news, everything you need, you can check out at sportsintel.com. It's fun. We do a team podcast actually on Tuesdays and Fridays where we just talk about sports. On Fridays, we do an NFL one. The Syndicates are going to be there, hopefully full time, but right now we're there once a month. And they got a really cool promotion going with Unibet as well. You get free $30 to bet. And you could bet up to $600 risk-free if you use their link through the website as well. But just a really cool new space. We got some partnerships coming with some really big casinos, hopefully, knock on wood as well. And hopefully us, the Syndicates, can be on the website just full time, man. That'll be dope. But if you want to do the Unibet promotion, you can go to sportsintel.com/go/Unibet. Get free money. They usually have favorable lines too. Like when we were talking, I saw a couple of extra hooks that are always valuable, like John said, right? And in those 3.5, 2.5 type of games. So yeah, check them out, man. But sportsintel.com, I do a weekly column for them, Friday NFL picks as well. So it's been going well, and we're just thankful to kind of be on their platform right now. The Syndicates, like we've been doing this a couple of years. Thank you to all our listeners. We love the tweets we get after our games, like good and bad. It's just really cool to see that people are out there weekly kind of listening to us chop up games. And a lot of people have said we help them through the week and just in life and in gambling. So, and I'm glad to just connect with you two, man. It's been fun the last few years. And once the pandemic's over, we got to go to Vegas. We're going to the Circa. And we're getting a table there. We're doing it big.
Let's do it, man. I'm totally in. But yeah, so just to recap, our picks of the week. Vic's going with San Fran +3. John's going with the Broncos +3. I'm going with the Ravens -3.5. And then we got possibly, you got to keep the dip streak riding. So we're going with the Titans down to pick and the Packers down to -0.5 point for our teaser for Vic and I. And John will eventually laugh in our face when we finally lose one. But hey, until then,
we're making money.
We got the bragging right. So. All right, everybody. Best of luck this week. Let's hit another big week for everybody, and then we'll come back next week and hopefully make some more money for people.
Let's go.
See you guys.
Later.